Welcome back. Well, welcome to a review of The Life of Chuck. Now, it's
Yeah.
become like a tradition on the channel. We've reviewed every Mike Flanagan thing, which was The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, uh, Midnight
Midnight
Mass,
Mass. Yeah.
uh, The Fall of the House of Usher, and The Midnight Club. Almost had it fully in order. I messed it up there at the end,
You screwed it up, Zach. We gotta
but
start
then we have
over.
a
Sorry.
theatrical release from Mike Flanagan starring
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston, among others. And so we're here to review it. Um, and yeah, so how we start all our reviews, though, is with a gut check, which is our score out of 10 coming into the review, what we're feeling, and then we can finalize after we've talked it through. All right, let's see. Three, two, one, flip. 7.5.
8.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
All right.
This was a curious one. It was like, I feel like it could have gone. I don't know. It could have gone up or down. I didn't know how you would be feeling
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I came out feeling this is a very interesting movie. In a lot of ways. It's based on a Stephen King short story novella. It's apparently I think somewhat more recent of his works, and it's also one of his things that's let's start by saying this. I knew nothing, basically nothing about this movie going into it, other than genre bending was like a word that was thrown around. I think in something that I just happened to read somewhere about it.
Yeah, so I don't know if
Um,
initially I looked up a description when we first talked about doing the review. I don't remember, but
hmm,
ever since then I was like, let me just stay away from anything because I have no
yeah,
idea what this movie is. I don't even know what the vibe is or anything. So I was like, let me just keep going completely blind. And then it was like,
right.
wow, I am confused. What am I watching right now? As it unfolds, it's like a and the like, okay, this is the movie. I did not exactly what I
Yeah,
would have expected. It's interesting.
yeah. It's it's fascinating. I would say go into. I think it's kind of impossible to really talk about this film at all without
It's
going into
tough, yeah,
spoilers. So, I think I kind of would just start the discussion just by
well,
saying
yeah.
I would recommend going into this knowing as little as possible. I mean, I guess you could say that with most movies. It's always a
It's
benefit,
always
but
the
like
best, yeah,
I don't know some people do like getting like a sense of something. Some people don't
for
actually.
sure.
I found that some people don't really like maybe surprises or like not knowing what a movie's about. Some people like to have an idea of what they're paying for. And I get that, what you're going to spend time watching. But with something like this is such a unique. I think it's a pretty unique film in a lot of ways. Like not not in the sense that like stuff it does is stuff that we have never seen before, which it kind of isn't really true because like we've definitely seen movies that do kind of what it does. Um, but it had such an unusual and interesting and kind of optimistic tone that I was not really expecting from how it started. And
And it's all in the way it unpacks itself. It's very like intentional in how it presents the story. So that's why, yeah, if
yeah,
you go in blind, it's better. But
yeah,
yeah, in
for
terms of
sure.
broad strokes, in terms of what we thought about it, I'd say yeah, I generally enjoyed it, but it's like not everything fully worked for me. But and like it's like
Yeah,
very
I would
much
agree.
like a slow burn. That first half,
Hmm.
especially, that I kind of thought was pretty boring. The first half, and then it really takes the second half to drive it home a little bit. And even then, like I was befuddled when the movie ended. I was like lost in time or something because I was convinced there was like an hour and a half left of this movie still. I'm like, oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of has it does sort of it almost does warp your sense of time in some ways because I kind of agree with you. It does sort of the way it does end is sort of abrupt, but I think it is extremely intentional in that way, and I really appreciate that because I had like I because this wasn't playing anywhere like really close to me. I did like a just an overnight in Maine this past weekend, which was actually very fortuitous because that gave me the ability to drive past this theater, the theater that I went and saw it at that was playing it. Well, drive past in a loose sense. I drove through the town the theater was in, so I was able to swing in and see it. Um, so I had a good like hour drive home after it, to sort of like just think about it, and that was really great. I think it is
You need to let it
a
simmer. It is
movie
a
that's
lot. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of, and I think that's good. I like cinema that makes you think, and that's something that I've always appreciated about all of Mike Flanagan's stuff. Really, even the stuff that doesn't hit as hard for me of his, I think it all has a way of just like making you think about it like long after you're done watching it.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
I still think about Midnight Mass. And I still think
sure
about
all of them. Yeah, really.
all of them. Yeah.
I think especially I just saw this today, so it's definitely one I could ruminate on more. And I feel like
Mm,
there's some variance in terms of like how I feel about it. It could go up or down. I feel like over time how I view it. So that's where I kind
mm,
of came in as a at a tempered 7.5. I
yeah.
knew out of the theater it wasn't going to be like a 9 out of 10 for me, but
Right.
it could go up 8. It was like anywhere between 7 and 8 variants for me probably, but it
Yeah.
could be one I look back on more fondly and it just gets better, but I don't have no way to know. And it's yeah, it's kind of like, you don't have all the answers when you first get out of the theater, so I had to think on it a bit more. And it's like
Hmm.
I really like a couple scenes in particular, like some beautiful, beautiful scenes that are
Yeah.
like if I could just bottle that up, those would be like 9 out
Yeah.
of 10s for
I,
me.
I know exactly. I think I
Yeah.
know exactly the scenes you're talking about because I agree. It's also those are also if I can have one, I would actually say this is one maybe major criticism which people might not necessarily think about, but the cinematography was actually pretty weak in this movie, which is very unusual for a lot of Flanagan. I think some of it works like really well. There's some like, you know, shot reverse shot can be kind of like a boring way to present a conversation, and he's always kind of found an interesting way to do that. And there were a few times where that was happening, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then like it would happen again, and then it would just be like kind of just a dull normal like, oh yeah, it's just here it is. And then like
Mm-hmm.
the framing was all kind of flat and interesting at certain points, and I couldn't help but think like, I wonder if some of that just has to do with the idea of memory and like things being like solidified in time. But it just was not. It just didn't really work for me overall, except for in I think the two. I think I know the two scenes you're talking about. The
Mm-hmm.
cinematography is amazing in those, and it like really the film kind of came alive in
Yeah.
those moments. But,
And I guess the
but
last
yeah,
thing I would say before going into spoilers is that for Flanagan fans, the Flanagan cinematic universe is still present here. So
everyone shows up. Everyone, well, not everyone, but
some of
pretty
the all
much most of the
stars
standbys.
Flanagans, yeah.
Yeah, the standbys are pretty much all there.
and,
In
and
represent in some ways in or another.
and most of them don't have too much impact on the plot. There's a couple that are
Mhm.
more driving than others. Others are like
Yeah,
clearly like I want you in here as I want you in this
yeah,
movie, so we'll give you this
yeah.
little role here. But it's still cool, see it on the big screen after watching it all on online on Netflix for all these years. So it's cool to see them all up there. And
Mm.
yeah, he does have a little cameo himself. I noticed that. I was like, I think that's him because I know what Mike Flanagan looks like. He's just like he's just one of the people,
I
yeah, at the cemetery.
One of the cemetery scenes, yeah. I think one of the delights for me, um, before we get too deep, was Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah,
Mark
true.
Hamill's
Yeah.
great. Like he's just, and the thing I read something recently that like Mike Flanagan really kind of rescued because Mark Hamill was almost after Luke Skywalker. I think I was reading something. He was pretty much done, kind of done with acting. But
Hmm.
like Mike Flanagan sort of brought him back, and I'm really happy for that because I think he was amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
I really liked him a lot. Um, really, he was really great. I like. I mean, I think pretty much all the performances were great. There was like Matthew Lillard shows up for like a scene that kind of was like shockingly emotional. I was not expecting so early to already kind of being like moved in some way.
Hmm.
There were some like really surprising moments from just random people, I thought. But
Yeah, but
then you have most of the classic standbys of the Flaniverse.
you know,
So
Mark Hamill was definitely a standout,
yeah,
and interestingly, there's kind of less of Tom Hiddleston than I was thinking going into the movie.
big time,
So,
big time was so not much of him at all actually.
because like every poster, it's that freaking Chuck.
Yeah,
Thanks Chuck, and him in that little
yeah,
pose. So, but all right, do you want to get into spoilers now?
yeah. Let's go for it.
Um, well, else I could have mentioned this before spoilers. Actually, that um, there is definitely very much the Flanagan monologue is
Oh
very
yeah,
present in this
oh, it's all
movie,
over the place in this. Yeah.
and he's so
Um.
big on the cosmos and stuff going on with the stars and the universe, and big monologues on that. He loves that.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did that at
I.
midnight mass, and
Yeah.
I feel like the
Well,
Haunting
I
series too.
wonder how much of that was in the original book, because I know like Stephen King can kind of wax poetic in some ways about that.
It's true.
And especially as like, so one of the things because I think this is a spoiler in the sense that like this is a very like optimistic movie. It's a very positive, and which is a very unusual for Stephen King's sort of oeuvre. And I might be mistaken this, but I think this is a more like somewhat more recent in terms of his sort of like his I don't know, I know what you want to call it, his extensive catalog of literature that he's written over the years. Much of it being coke fueled in the early years.
Hmm.
Um, but this is very like it's an optimistic sort of hopeful tenacity of the human spirit. Kind of a film.
I think it's got a mix
That
of
even
both, though. There's like a
it's
weird energy over it, where it's like, you'll have something happy happening, and then it's like narration comes in, and it's like he had a brain aneurysm
yeah,
years later, and then
yeah,
he lost. He will
sure,
never dance again, and
sure,
then yeah,
right. But I think that's like, well, I think that's what the final scene kind of is. Like he knows that that's going to happen to him, but he's like, but screw it, I'm going to live my life
mm.
anyways because I contain multitudes.
I, I
Lot of
love
Walt
containing
Whitman,
multitudes.
a lot of that Walt Whitman kind of stuff. A Song of Myself is very like, it's, to me it's almost, it is kind of like almost overwrought and almost overly saccharine, but
Yeah,
it just, there's something, it just works weirdly. I don't know how it came, how it does, but there's some secret sauce in this movie that just like makes me feel like, yeah,
it works, but
that's
it's still not
awesome.
perfect for me. Like still felt the
No,
ending when he was like he
I
went off and he's like talking about
it was a little
multitudes.
weird.
I'm like, oh, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very
I
dramatic
I
of
felt
you.
like I felt like I don't know if it, yeah, I don't know, there was something odd about the, cuz I like I said it was purposeful, but like it felt like the final shot didn't need to linger. Like I don't know. No, lingering did make sense, but
That's what I'm
it
saying.
just
Like,
felt like
I'm
there
not
might
even
have
confident
needed
on
to
my
be another
feelings right
line or
now.
something in there.
But yeah, it's just
Maybe something a little another line or something in there.
yeah, it just yeah, it could be Stephen King, but it also feels very Flanagan coded in that he loves having them go like really off into these monologues about the universe and our place in it,
Sure.
and all this. So
Sure.
definitely is right there with
I
it.
Yeah, well I mean I think, well that's why people have, that's why, because I read a couple reviews after that. That is why some people are saying this is why he was a perfect fit for this film, was like
Hmm.
because the source material is itself like has all of the hallmarks of his Mike Flanagan's, especially what he's done with Netflix, a lot of that stuff. It's got all the sort of the monologues and the interesting. You get a ghost story. You have a ghost
I know.
show up
Whoa,
here.
here we go
And whoa,
again.
there's a ghost. There's
Don't
a
go
ghost.
into the room upstairs. Oh boy.
I will say the thing that worked the most for me of the film was all of the weird time dilation stuff. I think ultimately how the movie is structured is its biggest strength. I think starting with I think the Act 3, Act 2, Act 1, especially Act 3 being all of basically taking place in his mind more or less. It's the amalgamation of like his imagined plus
Right.
his like fictional life. It's like it's both people he knew and knows, but
Yeah.
also like in an imagined world
Yeah, and like
in a weird way too.
they're not that like present in his life. They're just like people you
Yeah.
see in the later, earlier acts. Then you realize, oh wait, they're the same age, and Chuck is a child, and then you see in the beginning the thanks Chuck thing. So it's really weird when you first watch it and unfolds in that whole opening sequence with all
Yeah.
the weird, almost like
It's
Twilight
actually
Zone, like with what's this thanks Chuck thing? Does anyone know who Chuck
it,
is?
it's
Eh,
actually kind of effective horror. It is effective
Yeah,
horror,
yeah,
I
that's why I
think.
was very
The
confused
first
when I was going
act.
into it. I was like, is this
Yeah.
going for horror? Because like, there's nothing scary yet, but it is just weirdly unsettling, like kind
It
of
was
like
very
a
unsettling. And I loved that.
yeah.
I kind of love that. Like I was sort of here for that. I
I
was
don't
like
know.
I could see a Flanagan like TV series that plays with this
Oh, for
idea.
sure.
Like just the whole thing would probably work
But I
with this
do
sort of
still
tone.
think the first half is the weakest for me, and it really is kind of a slog at times for me personally. It was like, I know there's something here. I want to let you cook. I know it's lead to something, but it's like, man, really getting there with these, and like we don't know what's happening, and then it's like it makes sense by
It,
the end, and it comes
yeah,
together. But
yeah. To me, I was just in it for the performances were just so good though. That's the thing is like the it
it
is a
does
little
hook you.
slow, but like you're getting little pieces. You get pieces here and there of like all the stuff that's going wrong in the world, and you get all that going on. You get little snippets in each conversation that you have with somebody. You get like a little snippet, like a little deeper depth, but it is still then couched in sort of the sort of dual. The characters just talking.
Yeah,
Um, and to me, it just worked because it's like you get the real relationships out of people. I mean, like David Desmalchian, David Desma. I can never pronounce that guy's last name. His whole thing was both like heartbreaking and also hilarious.
wait, who's that again? David.
David Desmalchian. He's like the very first scene. He's the guy who's like the internet's gone down. And it's
The
like
freaking
they got rid of
Pornhub guy.
Pornhub. They got rid of Pornhub.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, he's great. He's been great in everything, and it's like, man, I hope this isn't the end of that collaboration because I want to see him in more. I'd like to see him in more Flanagan stuff because I've loved him in literally everything I've
Mm.
seen him in. Um, and I wanted to say the same with Karen Gillan, but from memory, I'm pretty sure Mike Flanagan directed Oculus. I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure he was Oculus, and Karen Gillan was in that.
Hmm.
So that's not the first collaboration that he's had with her. And I mean, she was brilliant in because she's pretty much mostly contained to the first act.
Yeah, it's Flanagan.
I
Yeah.
want to say,
Yeah, interesting. So there's even it goes back
yeah, it goes
further in
back
the
that far.
Flanagan verse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love that. I was like, man, I want to see. I'd love to see her in more of his stuff too because she's a great actress. And yeah, I'd like to, so you get all those connections from all across his whole directing career, which I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then Tom Hiddleston.
And Tom Hiddleston, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, just there, he's just there. If I had to guess, I would say that one of the scenes that you were talking about earlier when we were talking in generalities was the busking scene,
Yeah.
right? The dancing scene in the street.
So
That was
good.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that was like the best scene in the movie. Like it was so good.
Yeah, and I was like,
Um,
wow, we were just sitting on this for a long time. I'm like, oh, so
Mm.
obviously there's some significance to this, but it was just kind of beautiful how it unfolded, and
Yeah,
and then I also really like the ones with the child actors too, the dancing there.
he's great. Who was that? Was that kid? He was great. Like super. I love those authentic child performances where it's just like, man, it's just a kid. Like
Ben
he's like
Benjamin Pajak.
is so flawless. It was so good. And then I think Jacob Tremblay was the older, was like the
Yeah,
middle version. He was like the 17,
yeah.
18 year old.
You don't get too much from Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were we saying?
I don't even really remember.
We were talking about Benjamin
We talked
Pajak.
about,
Is
yeah,
cool.
we talked about the very authentic performance of the kid. It's really
They just
good.
thought it was really charming. Those all those scenes with him in it, and
Yeah.
then Mark Hamill trying to break his heart, talk about you gotta do math.
I love that. That was like the most artistic, the most, yeah, that was like the monologue of like trying to make math seem kind of cool and interesting, and it's like like in the first, he has like, I was like, wow, he had me in the first half, and then he was just like, and he basically just was like, yeah, but don't have dreams.
Yeah,
You need to use
and then
math.
he just
Math is
cut.
truth. And
He
I was
cut
like, oh, that's
to
brutal.
cut the little Chuck, and he's just heartbroken. The worst
Yeah,
thing you could have said
it's
to him.
so, yeah, for real.
He's so sad. He was
Um,
so sad.
it was,
Like damn. That's what it's all
yeah,
about, right? Everybody gotta do
um,
math. And he just went and did
yeah,
that. And he just went and did that. He
yeah,
became
he
an
did.
accountant. That's
But
great.
he didn't completely give up on dancing. Not completely. I mean, yeah,
But
somewhat, but
basically,
he went to the dance. He went to the dance still,
yeah,
and he get to dance with that eighth grade girl. It was cute. It was
it was
adorable.
cute.
Um,
Cucked at her
the
date at the
yeah,
dance. That was
the
cool.
freaking. I was so okay. So that was actually a point that I thought was really funny, because when he enters in, I was like, I couldn't tell like what the theme was. I just thought I thought it said rock or something. I was like, oh, it's like a rock. I mean, rock and roll. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, it, like cuts to a shot, and it shows like her dancing with her date, with the guy that she's like dating or whatever, seeing,
Yeah.
going steady with. I don't know how you say in eighth grade. I don't know. You're going steady. I don't know. I looked over. He was like, why is he wearing? Why is he wearing a Marty McFly outfit?
That's right.
I was like so confused. I was like, why is he wearing that? And then it shows like a wide shot of the stage, and it says Back to the Future, and it shows the DeLorean. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Back to the Future themed dance.
Pretty
And I was
sick.
like, that's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
and I was like, I guess that's why he's dressed up like Marty.
Yeah.
Like that was really funny, but I was really confused for like a good 30 seconds there.
But it was cool. Samantha
So
Sloyan is the
yeah,
dance monster.
yeah, the dance monster. We have her show up. We had the teacher that teaches was it his sixth grade teacher with the Walt Whitman. That was what's her name? I can never remember the names of. She's
Um,
arguably the she does the like You Contain Multitudes.
Kate Siegel.
Keith Siegel, that's it. Yeah.
His wife,
And
Mike Flanagan's
his
wife.
wife, Mike Flanagan's
Gotta
wife.
get her in there
And
every
she's like,
time.
yeah, and it's also she's also maybe the most pivotal role for him in the entire movie. Because like she has the because she has that speech, she taught him that the song of myself, and I love, by the way, love that Nick Offerman monologue about her. That was so funny.
Hmm.
I was like, she's like a hippy dippy type that probably is not long for the teaching world. I was like, dang. Um, but she's probably the most like influential person, other than his grandparents, probably the most influential person in his young life, because she's the one that basically sets in motion the whole concept of Act Three, which we start the movie with.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, that's cool. I guess you might as well cast your wife there. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not?
But it's cool, like even the random cameos in there, like when they were like when he was talking to the different parents,
Mm.
and it was like there was the mayor from Midnight Mass was in there,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
even the very beginning, the student that reads, he was from Midnight Club.
Yes, he was from Midnight Club. I recognized him immediately. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, he's great. He was great in that.
yeah,
And
and
yeah.
then the most random one was like when they started just like when there's the whole thing about the sinkhole and the cars,
Mm.
and there's just like people
Yep.
just wandering in. When he goes up and talks to that woman was from The Haunting of Hill
Yeah.
House, where she like she talked to
Really?
Steve, like one of the early scenes about like her husband seeing her husband above the bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh my God. Wow.
so it was a deep
Yeah,
cut.
she was in the only very little like
Yeah,
small scene in that. Yeah.
so it's just
Wow.
sprinkled
That's
in
that's
there these
cool.
random ones. The
Yeah.
little girl was what young Nell in The Haunting of Hill
Mm.
House,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and also Megan. Do you know that Megan from the hit movie
Uh,
Megan?
Wait, I saw a trailer for that
Yeah,
before the
Megan
movie, Megan
2.0.
2.0.
Yeah,
That
but
movie looks
yeah,
ass.
that's crazy.
But that movie looks really bad.
But I think
But
that little girl is Megan,
okay, sure.
and
I buy it.
so she went from the Haunting of Hill House, charming little girl role, and went to do Megan. But so she's
Yeah,
doing stuff, and
like,
here
you know.
she's just roller skating along in a couple different scenes.
Yes. Couple
Yeah,
different scenes, yeah.
so there's a lot of little
So,
nuggets of cameos and stuff. But
mm,
yeah, I just feel like those scenes are just really beautiful. The dancing scenes, I really like how they are unfold, and then even when we go after that, and you get the narration of like I was saying, like oh he he'll die at an early age. He'll never walk again. He'll never dance
mm.
again. But he still thinks back on this moment of being like that's why
It was,
God would.
I think it was like, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, that's probably my favorite line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Um, oh, yeah, it was like,
Yeah, because he was like
um,
questioning when he was on his like going through just
yeah,
pain for so long. He's questioning why was the universe ever made,
yeah,
and then there's
yeah.
like
Why did God ever make the universe?
yeah,
Yeah, it
and
was
so he
sort of
thinks
like
back
that.
on that little scene where he decides to dance, and he's like, "That's why."
He's like,
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah,
So there's some heavy
yeah,
stuff. It's like some of that stuff really is like powerful to me, and
right.
it's just not the whole movie
Yeah,
for me. It's
well,
just
it's
like
like,
it's those specific moments in isolation are like really the most impactful to me.
yeah, I think that's why Act Two stands out so starkly, because it is the short. Might be the shortest act. Act One is kind of short too, but it does feel. I don't know. It is kind of long. It's like a half hour long, isn't it? The first act. It felt like it was pretty long.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, it was all warped for me because I really was sitting here like we're gonna get a
Yeah.
lot more out of this, so we're gonna get like we got like
Yeah.
an hour left or something, and then it just
Yeah.
ended. I'm like
And the
okay,
movie ends. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Maybe we should have done Act Two and Act Three again. That's what
yeah.
we see.
Now we can see it, and it makes sense.
Yeah. That all makes sense. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I like it. Um. But it is almost so basic. Like Act One, you basically don't know what's going on really, and then the explanations are just kind of like, oh, okay. Like there's not really like a, while I do think the structure of
Act
it is interesting
Act
and
one doesn't
works
make sense. You're
well.
saying
Oh, sorry. Act Three.
okay?
Act
So I
Three.
was confused.
You're yeah.
Act
You're,
three,
you're
yeah.
watching. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Act One in terms of film structure, but Act Three in terms of how the movie is frameworked.
Yeah, Act
Where
three.
Act Three doesn't really make any sense. You're just like, what's going
Yeah.
on? What's happening? The world's ending, I guess, and people are just coming to terms with it. Um, and got this great Carl Sagan stuff. Carl Lumbly shows up in this wonderfully also.
Yeah.
It's just like I love seeing him. I mean, he was in like Captain America, they're the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, fantastic in that. He was in the new Captain America. He's great in that. That movie is not good, but he was in that and he was good in that movie.
Yeah.
So it's great seeing
And in the
him.
Fall of the House of
I could
Usher, of
listen to
course.
him, and he was in that too. I could listen to him just like talk for like his monologue was probably my favorite
Yeah.
of the monologues we get. It's just like I could just listen to that man talk for like 15 minutes.
That's gonna be
straight.
upcoming
And
video.
I'm okay
Rank
with
every
that.
Flanagan monologue.
Get every
100
Flanagan-
monologues on a tier
Flanagan-
list. My favorite. What's your
Yeah.
favorite Flanagan monologue? Can you think of one? I think mine might be Nell at the end of The Haunting of Hill House, where she talks about how it's all confetti, all just confetti.
Yeah,
That one's good.
that one's good. That one's really good.
Or one of the ones from Midnight Mass where he's talking to.
Yeah, there's one of the ones
talking
from
to
Midnight
Kate
Mass is
Siegel.
really good.
Not the. I don't really like the ones too much at night where they're talking about the cosmos like they always do. But I like the one where he's talking to her and then kills himself in front of her. That's pretty cool.
Oh, in the boat? Yeah, that one's I think that's my favorite. I think that's my favorite one.
It's
That
pretty
was so
metal,
good.
too,
that
so.
that might be my favorite. It's pretty metal. That one's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
They are good though. Like
Yeah.
I just love, as much as I do poke fun of it, it doesn't always work. Like I said, like when they're just standing there and saying like a poem, but I do really love it. And like some of my favorite character moments from Flanagan shows are great. Like even like the one with the little girl or the girl in Midnight Mass talking to the guy who shot her and paralyzed her. That whole scene. It's always stood out to me. Stuff like that is great.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah. As much as I'm kind of defending Act 3 in some regard, there are too many of them. I mean, there's just I will be frank. There's too many. It's like every single scene is just like another monologue between or 2-person dialogue, and that's it. That's like the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, you get the sprinklings of information, and it's good. And some of the monologues are really good. I think Karen Gillan's performance is really great, and all these other. But it's like, every scene is like the same in that way. It's kind of
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why.
But you could make the argument that when you are at the end of your life, because that's essentially what's happening, right? In reality, I guess we can call it in the outside world, outside of Chuck's microverse or his multitude verse, multiverse. I don't know what you want to call it. His multiverse. Inside of Chuck's multitudes, that it does make sense that they would be coming to terms with that finality, that closure, that acceptance. So it makes sense that everyone is kind of loquacious, they're going to be a little wordy, and they're going to be out and talking like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Just where Flanagan wants you.
Right, just where he wants you.
You can make it canon that people should be monologuing at all times.
No,
But yeah, so it's interesting because I didn't look too much, but just from the couple of reviews I looked at, it seems like there's some variants I think is generally received well, but there are some that really didn't work for, some that it really worked for. So it definitely it feels like that kind of movie where there could definitely be people going there like, what the hell did I just watch? Or something that really speaks to you on a deeper level. And I'm somewhere I'm more towards the latter, but not fully like that was a masterpiece that I just watched, just because of the pacing at points. But
yeah, I would not call it a masterpiece. No offense. But I was thoroughly entertained. It's definitely a movie I want to watch again.
Yeah.
I think it's like I said, I think it's a pretty beautiful movie in terms of that sort of, it is kind of on the, it is called The Life of Chuck, and we do get to really understand Chuck in a unique way. I think that may be some of the genre bending, because it does tie horror elements. Like we get the Act 3, we also have the stuff with the attic. That's all pretty like horror element stuff. Like Mark Hamill, drunk Mark Hamill talking about like the ghosts in the attic. Can I just have that? I just another ton about listening to Carl Lumbly just talk for 15 minutes, because just have Mark Hamill do that, like read an audiobook like that.
Yeah.
That would scare the hell out of me. I think I just kind of wanted that. Also, I was like with him with the little Chuck. I was just kind of like I just wanted to hear more. I was like, I want to know more about what your mysteries, old man.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, as much as I do find the first half pretty boring, it still did have a way of hooking me in that it's like, I know we're building to something here. Like, we obviously don't have like any answers as to what's going on here. And obviously, like, we're sitting up at the end of the world, but we have to find our way to Tom Hiddleston. He's the top billing of this movie, and we gotta figure out what this whole Chuck situation is. So it's like, I was still like, I'm holding on, waiting for what's gonna happen. But and it's ultimately like you never really get like a oomph, because even by the end of the movie, I'm like, I'm just waiting, what's about to really happen, and it just ends.
Yeah,
but you get more justification for everything.
Yeah, and I think that might be kind of like what I think that might be maybe my main like where the movie kind of falls flat is that like kind of like I said, where it's just like you kind of find out like, oh, okay, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, it's just like, oh, okay, because it all ends up being more mundane than you might think, because it's world ending at the beginning, and it's just like, oh, it's just like it is world ending because this guy's life is coming to an end, so he's dying. Like it is literal in that sense. But that is also a weird, even though it's weird to say that is kind of a mundane thing. People die every day. That people are dying every day, all the time. It's just a basic.
There one went just now.
For him, it's for him it is especially tragic because he was young. Which, by the way, how old is Tom Hiddleston?
Oh yeah,
I kept thinking about this.
I looked this up. I think he was like about 4 or 5 years older than in here, so he was like 44.
Okay, because I was gonna say, because I was like, I don't think Tom Hiddleston is that young, but I also don't think he's. I was gonna say, like, I don't think he's that old either. Like, I was gonna say, I think he's still in his 40s, so he could easily pass as a 39-year-old. Because he does also have a youthful face and energy. So,
Mark Hamill is like 74, and I remember they made a comment that like he's looking older than 70 on the.
he's looking as old as dirt. He does. He's an old man, and he's great. I loved him in this. I want to see him in more things. I want to see him in more things where he's not just Luke Skywalker. I liked him a lot in the Fall of the House of Usher. No. It's the Fall of the House of Usher. Where he was just kind of a creepy
was Arthur Pym? Is that what his name was?
Arthur Pym, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like the grumbling.
Yeah, I wonder what's next for Flanagan now. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, is it him that's going to be working on the other Stephen King?
I don't think so. I think that's someone else. The Long Walk. Is what you're talking about?
No, no, it's not that one. I don't think.
Oh, isn't that Stephen King? Who's that?
The Long Walk. I don't know. The Long Walk, 2025. That is Stephen King.
Okay. How many Stephen King things are coming out?
I don't know. That's Francis Lawrence. I actually don't know. I don't know Francis Lawrence at all. I don't know who that is.
The Long Walk. You should watch the trailer if you haven't. I'm actually really intrigued by that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next for him.
So we don't know what's next for Mike Flanagan. But was there a year that we skipped with no Mike Flanagan stuff, or has it been ever since Hill House that we've had something each year for Mike Flanagan?
Last year. There wasn't anything last year. It was the year before is when
That was Fall the House Usher. Okay.
2023 was Falls House Busher. Yeah, last year we didn't have anything.
I knew this was like an award, like a festival award winner. This movie. It's where it first was
Really?
like, I think it was like maybe last year that they first showed it, and then it was like a
It came
delayed
out. I know it
release.
came out last year on the festival circuit because it says it's a 2024 film.
But I was watching. I
Um,
watched a channel. I watched Dan Merle for a lot of movie stuff, like box office stuff,
mhm.
and he was saying how every other movie, there's been like 10 movies that won this award, this festival award. Every single
Mhm.
other one has won some sort of Oscar or was like at least nominated. I think maybe all of them won
Mm.
an Oscar. And so Life of Chuck, if it doesn't, would be breaking that trend. And it's like I don't know if it
Mm.
will or not, because it's pretty early on.
Yeah.
So
Was it
it's
the? So it premiered at TIFF, the Toronto Film Festival. It won
mhm.
the People's Choice Award
Yeah, that one.
there, at least. Yeah.
So every other movie
Uh,
that's won that award has won an Oscar, I believe. So see if Life of
well, I think.
Chuck does.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't bet on it. It's halfway through the year, and I don't know if it will really stick in that much. But
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know how this is doing. I don't think the box office has been like stellar for this. I mean, its release has been bizarre as all get
it's
out.
weird, yeah.
It's
Just like
been
Get
because
Out.
it released just like Get Out. Yeah. I'm trying to look. I'm seeing here. There's another whoever played his grandmother was also great too. Mia Sara, and
Hmm.
she's been in stuff for. I mean, she was in '80s stuff. Yeah, she was in like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, all kinds of other
Yeah,
stuff.
there really is a great cast here. And then, like
Mm,
we were saying, even the young actor is a standout for someone we haven't seen
yeah,
before. You know.
yeah, for sure. I guess that I felt like I recognized the girl he danced with. I guess she was on some. I probably saw her on some like ads for Nickelodeon crap, like modern Nickelodeon junk, because I
Mm,
think she was on something on there. But I thought she was great. I thought
right.
she was great. I mean, honestly, yeah, I thought the whole cast was great. I don't know, good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Heather Langenkamp also with that cameo in there too.
Yeah.
As
There's.
she was the busybody lady that he gets the gossip from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to put in our final
Anyway,
score?
yes, good cast. Yeah,
All right. 3, 2, 1. Flip. 7.5.
yeah, 7.5. I feel like that is most fitting. I think there are just some flaws of the film that are just kind of too blatant to ignore. Despite those, I still come away with the film with a very positive outlook on
Yeah.
it as a whole. Um, and and yeah, I mean, I do really want to watch it again. Like
Yeah.
I recommended my parents see it. I think that they may enjoy it.
Right. It's
They
for
may not
certain
always
kind
enjoy
of
it.
people, right? Like there are definitely people who's like I wouldn't recommend
Yeah,
this to. They probably wouldn't get it, or like
yeah.
you have to have a certain IQ. I think it is what it is. Um,
It's kind of like Rick and Morty, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So if nothing
uh,
else, those dance scenes will always stand out to me. The one in particular, for sure, it'll be like that.
oh
I'll
yeah.
always remember
Oh
that. I would look back on this movie, you know, and just
yeah. I know
just
it's
the
so good.
message from that. Like if you just take that, just like clip it, clip that, clip the somebody clip this, clip the dance scene, and then the narration afterwards where he says, "This is why
Yeah.
the universe was made," and it's like that's just
Right.
like a nice message by itself, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Tarqaron score is 7.5. Is that the official lowest Mike Flanagan score? Perhaps it is.
Might be. Might be.
It's such a high bar.
Uh,
Such a high bar, Mike Flanagan.
yeah.
And
Yeah, for
7.5 is
real. Even
it's,
something like this is still really
it's
good.
still a seal
This
of
is still really
approval for
good.
us. I mean,
Yeah.
but everything else has been eights, nines, or higher. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. It's true. Has Nick Offerman like narrated other stuff in general?
I'm sure he
I
has.
tell you what people we could listen to.
Yeah.
listen to for forever.
Some of that, yes,
There's all kinds of
I was
voices
into
in
some
this.
of it. Some of it, it wasn't. It was like a little too much for me. But I was
Yeah.
like, I actually didn't know that was Nick Offerman until the end. I was like, I can't put my finger on it the whole time. I was like, who is this? I know this is gonna be some voice I know, but
Yeah, I knew I recognized it, but I was like, I just can't. I just couldn't place it.
yeah,
And when I saw the name, I was like, oh, obvious. It's like, oh yeah, of course, of course.
yeah,
Uh,
that's gonna be it. I mean, we'll be here for
yeah,
whatever Flanagan's got next. When we don't know what it is.
big time. We should go back and watch some of the early ones. I still
That's
really
true.
would like to see what I think he directed Ouija. I think that was him too.
Ouija.
Like the yeah, and it's like it's based on it's the one thing that's you've been able to use that licensing, and that sounds like it would be crap, but he actually made a really good movie out of it. So
Yeah, so
I want to see that.
I'm interested because
Gerald's
Gerald's
Game.
game. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested because we have had all successes from Haunting of Hill House. If we go back, are we gonna find some ones that are like, okay, maybe we
I
didn't need to watch
I
that one.
know I remember hearing that some people love Oculus and some people really do not like Oculus. I've heard that one is very divisive because I remember when that came. I was in college when that came out, and I think a friend of mine saw it, and he said he even had mixed feelings on it. Like I think there was parts of it he really liked, parts of it he didn't. So,
Yeah, I don't think Gerald's game is a
um,
slam dunk either. I feel like I've seen mix on that too, but
oh,
you never
really
know.
interesting. I've heard pretty much nothing but positives about that. So, but I'd be very interesting. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I would be very interested in that. Yeah, yeah.
that would be very
So.
interesting if you put me on a Gerald's game review. You'll be
You put
surprised
me in
how
that. I
interested
will
I
be
am.
interesting. I will just be. I'll bring the hits. I'll bring them all. I'll bring the
Yeah.
hits. I
So at some
swear.
point, yeah, especially if we have another like a year without the year without a Flanagan, then
Here
perhaps
without a Santa
we
Claus.
squeeze them in there, you know.
Yeah.
But this is not like our
Well.
typical October time review either. It was right in
Yeah.
the middle of June, you know.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, yeah. Well, that's where you get. That's where you have his earlier stuff. You get Ouija and Oculus in there to fill out your horror stuff. And I think Gerald's Game is a psychological horror too. So. Um.
So we'll see
Yeah.
what whether we get one of those in there first or if we see in the next Flanagan. We'll see. See what we do.
In the next Flanagan, we'll do.
He's a great director
So.
though. You know,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
I love what
I
he's
mean. I
built
mean.
with
Hey.
us.
Even though some of the cinematography was sort of flat for me in this, still good director. Still got the best out of his actors. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. You can go back. We got a catalog of all the Mike Flanagan series. We reviewed all of them, and plenty of other movie reviews, game reviews, TV reviews. We watch Survivor every week. Tons of different discussions, podcasts, random variety of content. So if you enjoyed this video, why don't you go check out our intro to the It Takes Two Lists Gents Challenge. Gents Challenge is something we do as part of our gaming Discord, where it's a gaming backlog challenge. Essentially, you're paired up with someone, and you assign each other games to finish within a deadline. And so that's a running series as well. That was from 4 years ago. So.
I was gonna say that's before It Takes Two came out. I think.
Yeah, maybe. Didn't It Takes Two come out in 2020?
Maybe that was. No, I think it was 2021. I want to say is when it came out.
Didn't that
It
one
Takes
game of
Two
the
was
year, right?
yeah, one game of the year that year.
I
Yeah,
think it won.
2021.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm
It
pretty
won
sure because
2021 game of the
2020
year or
was
2020.
because I think 2020 was between 2020 was let's see what was up for that
Well, I
year. We
guess
had
it probably won the
Seven
light year,
remake.
which is probably 2020, right? So it probably won in the 2021 game of the year,
Yeah,
game awards.
I think it did. I think it
Anyway,
did.
It Takes Two
I
review
don't know.
coming soon.
Whatever.
All right.
I'm trying to remember what would have won 2020. 2020. Oh, The Last of Us Part Two.
Mm-hmm.
That would have gave me the year that year. Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure anyway. To right the wrong of
Even know.
BioShock Infinite, I think won Game of the Year over The Last of Us One,
Big.
which is
Whoa.
actually kind of insane to me. As somebody who actually likes BioShock Infinite, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's insane.
No, really. I haven't played either of
Yeah.
them, so
Oh, well.
add them to the
Hey,
list.
maybe they show up on this lists of It Takes Two lists, but
No,
we know you didn't play it, so
didn't play it.
it didn't. Okay.
Maybe one day. All right, and then why don't you just take care of yourself while you're at it, and
Yeah.
just know that you're multitudes, and
Yeah.
you're all like glittering stars at the end of a starlit day after a star bursts, another one's born, and you are that star. And then we'll all cry because we're happy, not because we're sad. I don't know.
Was that your attempt at a Mike Flanagan
Yeah.
monologue? That's great. I loved
Yeah.
it. It was wonderful.
It's
All
almost
right.
powerful. Almost kind of gets you emotional,
It's,
doesn't it? Thinking
it
about it.
kind of did, yeah.
It's almost
I
so
got some kind of
abstract that you just
emotion out of it.
lose what it means, and then you just make your own meaning out of it. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
profound.
Beautiful. Is that profound?
One day we'll all cry and we'll rejoice because we cried because that's beautiful.
Well, take care of yourselves, y'all.